I saw someone die late last night.
Have you been taking your medication?
You don't get it. She's here. She followed me here.
You're not in your right state of mind.
Look.
Yesterday, we just dropped the short film, You Monster, on the Corridor channel. Now, this piece explores how audiences affect creators, and we're gonna sit down with Anthony Padilla, who plays the lead character, Ashton. Now, he's a veteran of the YouTube game, he's had an audience for years. We're gonna see how the themes of this piece resonate with his personal life and experiences. We shot this piece back in November, and then there's been a worldwide pandemic and a large movement against police brutality since then.
Has it ever felt appropriate to release this? I mean, even now it's like, damn, the world is just very different than it was 8 months ago when we shot it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I don't want to keep sitting on it. I just want to put it out there because, the question that this piece asks is, how does an audience change things? Sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better. You're somebody who's had an audience. You've had an audience for a long time. I mean, you're a veteran of the industry at this point. You took part in this project. You brought your acting talents to the table. Obviously, we're friends. We go back a ways. But was there anything that spoke to you personally in this? Was there anything that stood out as a message that made you interested?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole concept of an audience wanting you to document things and people who, get obsessed with these numbers and engagement, it becomes very easy as someone who does social media to start gravitating toward the things that get you the most engagement, the most viewership, because that translates to success in all the different ways. I feel like a lot of people get in their head, I'll use these cheap tactics whenever I can because it'll allow me to do more things. It'll unlock more doors for me in the future. I don't think it's necessarily malicious. I don't think there's this intent to do things that are inherently evil, but I think some people get just blinded by the opportunities that success can open up.
Have you ever found yourself doing something or not doing something specifically because you have an audience?
I think there was a time, when things started becoming more what some people call PC culture. And there was a time where I made really edgy jokes because I thought they were funny, because they were shocking. And I think there was a brief moment where I didn't understand reasons for why some things weren't appropriate, but I feel like I was able to learn why it affected people and in turn kind of become more empathetic with why people, found certain things offensive or why people should or shouldn't say certain things. So I feel like over the years I've started to understand and learn more why things affect people in different ways. So I don't find myself having to hold back at all because my mentality, my view of the things going on in the world has just changed so drastically since that time.
When you can work that stuff into your core and just be who you are naturally, that's the best state you can possibly be in. With the role of the audience, this video, obviously, it casts a negative light on how people can influence and encourage people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. But, it's not all negatives. Do you have any examples of positives where you think, an audience putting attention onto something has made things better?
Yeah, I mean, I think even right now with the Black Lives Matter movement, with so much focus on police brutality and systemic racism, and I think it's really had a positive effect because people have seen so much encouragement from their audience and just the media in general to speak up about these things. So I think there has been some positivity. Yeah, there's also been negative too, but I think in many ways there has been a ton of positive.
What responsibility do you think an audience has to the content they consume?
It's funny you ask that. The audience is in some ways directly responsible for what kind of content gets made, because you're voting with your view if you want more content like that to be made. If you're someone who hate watches things, you're like, I hate this so much, but I love how much I hate it. I love talking with my friends about how much I hate it. You're voting for more content like that to be made. It's half the person who creates the content, and then it's half the audience telling that creator that they want more of that to be made. And then with their view, also giving them the money to fund doing more of that as well.
It's a really good insight on it. I'd have to agree with you. It's like voting with your dollar, except you're voting with your view. You know, people feel like there's a million people watching a video. Why would your view impact it? But at the same time, I see so many reminders of how small the world is. That one view does make a difference. That one comment you make does make a difference. It's small, but at the same time, it's not small. The moment you get 5, 10, 20, 100 people saying the same thing, 100 comments on a YouTube video, even if it's a super popular one, all saying the same thing, like, at least for me, I notice that. Creators take notice to that.
Yeah.
And I would say to people out there, don't get discouraged by how big the numbers are. Keep in mind that an individual is still very powerful.
Absolutely. Every once in a while, there's a single comment that gives me some insight into something, either that I'm going to do or something that I have done, that completely shifts my perception of the way that I would go about doing that. And I think it's super important. Everyone should be speaking up more if they have something to say.
I think that, at least I think you can speak to and I can speak to, is you do get a chance as a person with an audience to refine yourself for the better, to polish off those rough edges and get a greater understanding of people across all different walks of life and how things work. And I think that's a responsibility as a creator that you bring to the table when you have an audience, that it's important that you grow with that audience to not only learn from the audience, but then take that learning from the audience and give it back to them so that they can learn as well. It's all just one big circle of education.
Yeah, absolutely. I say, look back at content that you used to make 10 or 15 years ago, or even imagine that you are who you were 10 or 15 years ago and look at the content that you make now, and you could just see how much growth there has been. And I'm sure a huge part of that has been interacting with your audience and learning from them, and then in turn kind of shaping your view of the world at the same time.
Yeah. So to tie this back to you, Monster, when do you film and when do you help? When does it become not okay to continue having your phone out? And when do you get involved? If you were in a situation, let's say you were witnessing a fight, when do you think it's okay to be recording it? And when do you think a line gets crossed and you should either no longer be recording it or you should step in to do something about it?
It's best to quickly assess the situation. Am I safe? Would it be safe for me to step in? And if the answer is yes, it would be safe, then you should definitely go and help. Like in You Monster, my character should have definitely helped. There was nothing that would have hurt me in going up and helping that person or talking to them or trying to understand what was going on in their mind. But, say it's an instance where there's some kind of violence going on, or obviously police brutality. I think if you can't directly contribute because it might be putting your life in danger in some way, it would probably be best to record that so that you can show people and talk about it and make it a bigger thing. With George Floyd and that unfortunate situation, they didn't feel safe stepping in. So I think they did the best that they could do, and that was document it so that it could spark a discussion, and in turn there's been an entire worldwide movement because of that. So I think those people did the best that they could do with the situation that they were in.
Yeah, I think that's great insight and good advice also. I want to say thank you again for getting involved in this project, for lending, your talents on screen and taking the time to nail the character and help us make a piece that's a little bit more than just a VFX action scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great time. I mean, as a director, you gave a lot of freedom to improvise. You pulled something that feels so big together with such a small crew and small budget. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. So thank you for having me be a part of that.
You bet, man. Thanks for taking a minute out of your day here to talk to us. And I look forward to getting that video out there and seeing what people think.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. And, thanks to the whole production team. It was a really fun time.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you think audiences bear any responsibility in the content that is created for them. And if so, what kind of responsibility do they bear? Have you ever personally been affected by having an audience? I know not everybody out here has, say YouTube channels or Instagram followings, but even small followings. Has that shaped or changed the way you approach life? Have you ever been recording a video and been thinking to yourself, I maybe should put my phone away and get involved in some other way than just filming it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love for you to go check out You Monster. It's a piece that we put a lot of work into. It's an idea I've had for a long time. And you should also go check out Anthony's channel. He does some awesome eye-opening sit-downs where he talks to really interesting people. So we'll have links for his stuff as well. All right, happy watching.